From overprotective parents to attention-starved classmates, every major sin has a perfect match walking the streets of Elmore. These are the 7 deadly sins as Gumball characters, and today we're breaking them down one by one. Starting with greed, Mr. Fitzgerald. On the surface, he's Penny's slightly uptight dad who wants what's best for his daughter.
Watterson, are you giving my daughter some kind of weird silent treatment?
But the second you dig a little deeper, you realize Mr. Fitzgerald isn't driven by love. He's driven by pure old-school greed, and the kind that's less about hoarding gold bars and more about hoarding image, control, and perfection. In The Shell, everything about Mr. Fitzgerald's true nature gets exposed. When Penny finally cracks her shell and reveals her real magical form, it should have been a beautiful coming-of-age moment. But instead of celebrating, Mr. Fitzgerald freaks out. He sees her transformation not as something to embrace, but as a public relations disaster. To him, Penny's true self isn't something to be proud of. It's a flaw that needs hiding. His knee-jerk reaction is to shield, control, and erase anything that might make the Fitzgerald family look abnormal. It's never really about Penny's happiness. It's about the image he's desperately clinging to.
I know, she looks fantastic, right?
What have you done? You've turned her into a freak.
Freakishly beautiful young lady.
She looks like a pig.
Sure a beauty, absolutely.
You turned my daughter into a monster.
This isn't just a one-off bad parenting moment either. Mr. Fitzgerald's obsession with control shows up again in episodes like The Knights, where he refuses to even consider the idea of any boy dating Penny unless they meet his invisible checklist of standards. And guess who's at the bottom of that list? Gumball. Because in Mr. Fitzgerald's eyes, Gumball comes from the wrong background.
Well, at least know it works.
Watterson, stay away from my car and stay away from my daughter.
The Wattersons are chaotic, lower income, and unpredictable, aka all the things that Mr. Fitzgerald's greedy mind associates with failure. He doesn't just want Penny to have a good life. He wants her to be a trophy, a symbol that reflects his own social success back at him. Even in Season 3's The Burden, his influence looms over Gumball and Penny's relationship like a storm cloud. Gumball goes to ridiculous lengths to seem responsible and grown up on their date.
Maternal. Here, my son, I have provided. Eat.
Food! Okay, alright, I believe you.
Not because he personally feels the need to, but because he knows Mr. Fitzgerald's judgment is always lurking in the background. It's a burden. Literally the episode title. Gumball's constantly trying to perform a version of himself that would meet Mr. Fitzgerald's standards, even if those standards are impossible. Gluttony, Richard Watterson. If Mr. Fitzgerald is the picture of restraint, Richard Watterson is the exact opposite. He's not here for image control or quiet discipline. He's here for food, all of it. Preferably now. Richard is the walking embodiment of gluttony. His entire relationship with food is impulsive, chaotic.
This doesn't look good to me.
And completely overwhelming. The man doesn't just love to eat, he needs to. And that need ends up driving whole plot lines, often to absurd or even dangerous extremes.
Time to catch up, and all this has left me in a bit of a pickle. While he's going on to make a hash brown of his life.
The diet explores this head-on. Richard is supposed to be getting healthy, but instead he keeps secretly binge-eating, hiding snacks around the house, and finding increasingly ridiculous ways to sneak food past his family. It's funny on the surface, especially when he tries to gaslight the family into thinking his weight gain is magic. But beneath the humor is something a little more sobering.
That's it! I should get the groceries delivered! Done!
Richard's relationship with food is compulsive. He doesn't just enjoy it, he uses it. It's a coping mechanism, a reward system, a default setting. And the show makes it clear when that urge gets strong enough, logic and consequences go right out the window. When Richard briefly becomes buff from exercising, thanks to the boys' intervention, it doesn't fix the problem, it just shifts it. He turns into a show-off, wreaks havoc at the mall, and becomes so consumed by his new identity.
You mean this chair?
You know what? Don't worry about it.
You can take this table if you like.
Yeah, never mind.
That it's just another form of gluttony, this time for attention and vanity. But what pulls him back from the edge? Food. The second someone mentions it, Richard collapses back into his original self. That's the loop he lives in. His hunger always wins. Then there's the recipe, which treats Richard's appetite almost like a sixth sense. He can detect the presence of food from rooms away. He tracks a hidden piece of toast like it's a sacred object.
It's here. I can still eat it. Never mind.
In one scene, the family thinks they've successfully hidden something from him, only for Richard to zero in on it like a predator. His instincts are so strong, it's almost supernatural. It's one of the few times the show plays his gluttony as a kind of superpower, but even then it comes with chaos. What makes Richard's gluttony interesting is how the show balances it with warmth. He's not a villain. He's not cruel or selfish in a malicious way. He's just overwhelmed by desire. He wants things to taste good. He wants to be comfortable. He wants to indulge. And while that makes him a danger to the family grocery budget, and occasionally to society, it also makes him human. Well, cartoon rabbit human. But trust me, we're just getting started. The rest of these sins hit even harder. One of them nearly breaks the universe. Stick around, leave a like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts on the next sins. You're gonna want to see who shows up next. Wrath, Nicole Watterson. Nicole is the hardworking, protective mom of the Watterson family, but she also has an extremely short fuse. All those jobs and chores stress her out, so the smallest thing can set her off. In fact, her temper issues are so famous that Gumball jokes it's easier to face a school bully, Tina, than an angry mom. The show even hints she once went to anger management classes to try to keep her fury in check. When Nicole blows her stack, it's explosive.
Then hashtag make, hashtag sure, hashtag you, hashtag stay alive to hashtag enjoy it.
That's not how hashtags work. It's the line on the left. Get this stamped.
For example, in the Season 2 episode The Limit, the kids pressure Nicole for candy in a supermarket. Nicole at first calmly says no, but when Gumball's tantrum tests her patience, she snaps. She mimics the kids whining in an absurdly high-pitched voice, and then she squeezes a can of hot dogs in her bare hand until it explodes. Finally, completely fed up, she admits she's reached her limit and literally transforms into a monster with yellow eyes and sharp teeth.
It's a whirlwind of fury! Get out of the way! She's out of control!
She rampages through the store, even chasing Richard and the children around like a wild monster. This angry, demonic form shows how dangerously unchecked her wrath can become. Nothing stops her stampede until she suddenly snaps out of it and apologizes. Another example is the episode The Ape. Miss Simeon insults Nicole and her family by calling them losers. That hits a nerve because Nicole flashes back to being bullied by this teacher herself. On the spot, she turns furious and literally chases Miss Simeon out of the house in anger. Nicole's raging outbursts impact her family a lot. Gumball and Darwin often tiptoe around her, trying not to set her off. In The Limit, the kids even practice making scared faces while Mom is out on a rampage because they know she'll return furious. Richard has to play peacekeeper. Whenever Nicole's blood starts to boil, the whole family ends up scrambling to calm her or hide.
That's it? I think you've all done it. You've finally pushed me over.
Over what?
The limit.
Yet despite all the shouting and chaos, Nicole usually regrettably pulls back at the end, which shows that her wrath, though fierce, is really just a sign of how much stress and love she carries in her heart. Sloth. Lazy Larry. Lazy Larry is the very picture of Sloth in Elmore. His nickname says it all. He used to be known as the laziest person in town, even earning the title Lazy Larry.
I was the laziest guy in Elmore until I lost my title to...
Larry works a ton of odd jobs around town, but that's mostly out of necessity. Deep down, Larry hates working and will do almost nothing to avoid effort. For example, Season 1's The Laziest, the episode is all about Larry's inertia. Gumball and Darwin challenge him to a lazy contest, thinking he can beat their dad.
That guy is lazier than a rock.
But Larry, we need you to beat our dad in a lazy.
Larry stubbornly resists becoming lazy again, until the kids trick him. They give him every tool for laziness: a comfy couch, junk food, TV remote, etc. Within minutes, Larry is exactly the classic Sloth. He's lounging on the couch, fat and relaxed, barely moving a muscle. The humor is that Larry basically shuts down. He loses his job, car, girlfriend, and even his house because he stops doing anything productive. Depressed at first, he finally just plops on the couch and refuses to budge. The kids watch in awe as Larry truly becomes inert. His eyes are half closed, he sighs contently, and absolutely nothing can tempt him to get up. This perfectly illustrates Sloth. Larry's total refusal to act leaves everyone else doing all the work. Larry's laziness doesn't just affect him personally, it shakes up the whole town. In the Season 3 episode The Pizza, the Watterson family accidentally frustrates Larry so much that he quits every job he has. In the blink of an eye, all the cashiers and clerks in town vanish.
Because I can't take it anymore. I have only one thing left to say to you, Elmore. try our family deals for $5.99. Goodbye, Elmore. I quit.
The episode jokes that Elmore's economy falls apart because Larry's refusal to work means no one's running the stores.
Well, I guess we'll just have to,
This extreme example shows Sloth on a grand scale. Larry's inactivity creates real problems for everybody else. In everyday life, Larry's behavior is more subtle, but just as lazy. He'll show up at work, or wherever he's supposed to be, but you can bet he's taking his sweet time. He's often half asleep, moving slowly, and needs constant reminders to do even small tasks.
I get up, I shower, I come to work, I work all day, I go home, I go to sleep. I get up, I shower, I come to work.
Unlike other sloths who might daydream in hammocks, Larry's sloth looks like a perpetual after-lunch nap. All of this makes him a perfect symbol of the sloth sin. He has no ambition to act, always chooses the path of least effort, and is happily stationary even when his family or the town needs him. Pride. Gumball Watterson. Gumball's character is full of confidence and swagger, sometimes to a fault. As the show's hero, he often talks himself up or holds onto his dignity, even when things go wrong. For example, in the Season 3 episode The Money, the Watterson family has lost all their money, but Gumball refuses to sell out. He boldly tells everyone that their pride as the Wattersons is all they need, rather than taking easy cash.
That's $17.15. I'm sorry, the card has been declined. It says insufficient fund. Not too attractive, not too intelligent, totally dysfunctional. You guys have got it all. And you'll get paid.
Where do we sign?
No! We're not gonna let ourselves be reduced to some cliches for a quick corporate buck. We're the Wattersons, and we don't sell out.
This shows that Gumball places great value on pride and principles. He'd rather struggle on his own terms than compromise his self-respect. However, his pride can also make him stubborn and one-dimensional. In that same episode, Anais admits Gumball was right, but Gumball's black and white view keeps the family in poverty until even Gumball himself realizes they can't eat pride alone. So here, pride is shown as a double-edged sword, a noble belief but also a blind spot for Gumball. In Season 6's The Awareness, we see Gumball fall in love with his own intelligence. After spending time with some enlightened students, he walks around like he's smarter than everyone else. He wants everyone to know how evolved he is, how much he's grown. The moment he believes he's gained some kind of intellectual edge, he can't help but show off. It's not enough to understand something. He needs everyone to acknowledge how amazing he is for understanding it. That's classic pride. The need not just to succeed, but to be seen succeeding. Even when he's clearly wrong, Gumball rarely backs down. In the episode The Misunderstanding, he completely misreads a conversation with Carmen and becomes convinced she has a crush on him. Instead of clarifying things like a normal person, he spirals into this elaborate fantasy where he's the romantic lead in some tragic love story. And that's the thing about Gumball. Once his pride locks onto an idea, he refuses to let it go.
100, a very slight move of the head, that's 100 for the little blue man. Going once, going twice, sold for 100 cents, that's $1. Well done, everyone.
$1.
What was that?
I'm so sorry.
He builds up the situation so much in his head that it no longer matters what's real. He just wants to be right. And by the time the truth comes out, he's already embarrassed himself, stressed out everyone around him, and made things 10 times worse. But the worst part isn't the misunderstanding itself, it's his reaction once the truth is revealed. Carmen never had a crush on him. The entire episode was built on a fantasy he created out of pure ego. And when Gumball realizes he's wrong, he doesn't apologize in a meaningful way. He doesn't reflect or laugh it off. He just brushes past it, because admitting he was completely off base would mean acknowledging he's not as perceptive or cool as he wants to believe. His pride acts like armor. It protects him from looking foolish even when he clearly is. And it's not a one-time thing. Gumball's pride leads him into trouble over and over again. In The Kids, he and Darwin try to cheat the system by pretending to be little kids so they can ride the bus for free. Gumball thinks he's being clever. He sees it as a genius loophole, a why not moment. But the plan backfires horribly. They get treated like actual toddlers and end up stranded with preschoolers, completely embarrassed. Gumball tries to hold on to his dignity, but everything from the baby talk to the playground rules just strips that pride away, one moment at a time. Pride, for him, is a way to control the story.
I don't need a discount. Your mountains are full of gold and mithril. How can someone be so ill and yet so evil? Get out of here!
His version of events, his place in the world. When that pride is challenged, it's not just his ego that takes a hit, it's his entire sense of identity. That's why he clings so hard to being right, or looking smart, or staying in control of the situation, even when none of those things are actually happening. In a way, Gumball's pride is part of what makes him so relatable. He wants to be respected, he wants to be taken seriously, He wants to feel important, but sometimes that desire gets in the way of learning, listening, or growing. Pride makes him stubborn, defensive, and even delusional at times, but it also makes him human. He's trying to be the best version of himself, even if he doesn't always know how. Envy, Rob. Rob lives in Gumball's shadow, and his actions often stem from resentment and jealousy. After being forgotten in the void, Rob comes back angry and wants to prove himself. You see it most clearly in the bus. Rob hijacks a school bus, dresses up like a supervillain, and traps all the students inside.
Oh, now you remember my name. It's Dr. Wrecker to you, and yes, this whole thing was my idea. I am your nemesis!
He even gives himself a dramatic new name, Dr. Wrecker. But all of that is just a way to force people to notice him. What really sets him off isn't power. It's the fact that Gumball doesn't remember who he is. That one moment, being ignored by the main character, pushes him over the edge. He wants to matter. He wants to be seen. And it's not about fame. It's about not being forgotten again. In Rob's eyes, Gumball has everything. Friends, family, a life that's chaotic but full. Rob has none of that. So his version of success becomes tearing down what Gumball has. It's not that he wants the spotlight for its own sake. He wants it because Gumball already has it. And Rob's episodes follow the same pattern. He's always trying to interrupt, sabotage, or ruin things that bring Gumball joy. Whether he's building death traps, blowing things up, or trying to reset time itself, it all comes back to one thing. Rob doesn't want to be in Gumball's shadow anymore. You see this again in the rerun. Rob and Gumball are stuck in a time loop, reliving the same day. And even then, Rob is angry. He doesn't want to go back to the void. He's sick of being overlooked. He remembers everything, every moment Gumball ever had, every chance, every mistake, every time someone picked him instead. Rob's jealousy turns into obsession. He doesn't just want revenge, he wants acknowledgement. He wants someone to admit that he matters too. That's what makes Rob the perfect embodiment of envy. He's not evil because he loves chaos. He's not driven by money or power. He just wants to be something more than the background. And when you feel like the world keeps passing you by, it's easy to start resenting the people who get all the attention. That's Rob. That's his whole arc. Underneath the villain costume and the angry speeches is a guy who just didn't want to be forgotten. Lust, Tobias. Tobias is the class's teenage romantic. His storylines often revolve around crushes and passion, which fits the sin of lust. He has a huge ego and openly chases after the girls he likes.
Done this for so long now, even your little sorry sounds are all the same.
Oh, sorry. You thought tomorrow was today. I meant tomorrow.
The biggest example is his crush on Penny. In Season 2's The Knights, Tobias basically turns the school into his own medieval fantasy just to impress Penny. He shows up in costume, talking like a knight, and acts like he's about to go on a quest to win her heart. The whole thing is over the top, but the motivation is simple. Tobias wants her to like him, and he's ready to put on an entire show to make that happen. Once he finds out that Penny is going to be paired with Gumball instead of him, Tobias takes it personally. He challenges Gumball to a duel, not because of some serious conflict, but because he thinks winning a fight will make Penny fall for him.
Thanks, Penny.
Tobias, stop it!
I'll stop in exchange for a goose.
No! Sorry.
It's okay.
Wait.
That's what makes Tobias a good fit for the sin of lust. He's not just romantic, he's consumed by the idea of love and attention. It's not about getting to know Penny, it's about claiming her affection like it's a prize. And he doesn't stop there. During the duel, he makes everything dramatic. He acts like he's rescuing her. He brags about winning her over. At one point, he even offers to stop the fight if Penny gives him a kiss. That moment especially shows where his head is at. He treats affection like a reward, like something he's owed just for trying hard enough. The show plays it for laughs, but the core idea is clear. Tobias wants to be wanted, and he'll perform, plead, or pressure to make that happen. Outside of that episode, Tobias's behavior stays pretty consistent. He's always trying to act suave, flex his muscles, or show off for the girls at school. He's not mean-spirited about it. He's just overly eager. He's the kind of character who imagines himself as a heartthrob and is constantly frustrated that the world doesn't see him that way. So he doubles down. Louder compliments, bigger gestures, more exaggerated confidence. What separates Tobias from someone like Gumball, though, is that he doesn't just want love. He wants the performance of it. He wants the attention, the validation, the fantasy. Lust, in this case, isn't about anything mature. It's about chasing romantic admiration to the point of delusion. Whether it's sword fights in the hallway or costume changes at school, Tobias treats love like a game, and he's always trying to win. If you made it this far without committing at least one of these sins, congratulations. You're officially more emotionally stable than anyone on this show. Want to see another cool video? Click this one on your screen right now. I'm waiting.